Hello everyone, my name is William Wang and I am here with Mr. Smith, PMSS. Mr. Smith, in his first year, has been teaching film, has been teaching a lot of other things, such as the PMSS Drumline, where he in his first year led PMSS Drumline to third in the Provincials. So first of all, huge congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and obviously coming out third in your first year isn't a small feat, it's a great feat.
So, it was very exciting, very exciting.
So Mr. Smith, what is the PMSS Drumline? Because in our first year, a lot of people might not know what it is, especially in Port Moody where we didn't have drumline before. So is this the same as a normal band? And if it is not, how's it different?
It's definitely different from band. It is only drums or percussive instruments, so we're allowed to have marimba, xylophone, vibraphone in the front ensemble. But primarily the focus is on the drums and the battery. So we call the main part of the drum line is called the battery, and it's got snare drums, tenor drums, which are the multi-tenors, and then of course your upright bass drums, which are tuned separately so that they can actually play melody across the line. The drums are significantly different than the drums that you would see in a normal concert band. The snare drums have Kevlar heads. They're made to withstand rain, being dropped, being bumped into, being marched with, and they're a significantly sturdier build than a standard concert instrument.
So, Mr. Smith, is this the same as a marching band or no?
So drumline has its origins with marching band. The way that we march these days is not, if you were to watch it, it wouldn't look much like a marching band anymore. We still do parade marching. We're hoping to do some parades next year, where you just walk down a street and make left or right turns, which is what a marching band typically does. But it's more like drumming mixed with interpretive dance. The sport has evolved considerably in the last 20 years, and the expectation on the students is not only that they're excellent musicians, but they're also excellent dancers. So it's a little different than marching bands, although you've seen some marching bands in the States go in that direction. Ohio State is a famous one, for example, where they do their formations. But yes, different.
Okay, I see. So Mr. Smith, that leads to our next point. So to be in the PMSS Drumline, do you need any musical experience prior to joining? Or like, what are some of the instruments? You guys have, obviously, you guys mentioned the drums, but can a regular drum kit player play in the drumline without any hassle?
Absolutely. Everybody is welcome in the drumline, whether you've had years of experience in music or no experience. We had some of our members had zero musical experience entering this year. So we can start you from the ground up, learn your basic musical skills, rudiments, and work from there. The nice thing about drumline is because there's a wide variety of instruments, everybody can play an instrument that reflects their music skill level.
Okay, I see. So, Mr. Smith, about yourself, you very recently joined PMSS. It's your first year. So, how did you have the idea to start the drumline at PMSS?
Well, I'd started a drumline back at my old school in West Vancouver, probably 6-7 years ago now. And it was very successful. Big hit at the school. We'd play at sports games. We'd play in the community. And it was actually a community event that we were playing at when it dawned on me that I was doing all of these things with a drumline in a community that I didn't live in, because I'm a Port Moody resident and I live out here. And I realized that I wanted to do what I was doing in West Van here in my community. So I made the jump to Port Moody Secondary with the intention of doing just that, starting a drumline out here and adding to our community.
I see. Okay, so back then in West Van, you lived in Port Moody?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so
I used to drive to West Van. Drove past this school every day for 6 years.
Okay, I see. So How was the experience for the first provincial competition for PMSS drumline? Obviously, it's the first time, but what would you say was the experience there?
It was incredibly exciting. The students had never seen other drum lines. We'd only really experienced our own. And seeing drum lines on YouTube are a very different thing than seeing it in real life. So to show up to Provincials and see, 16 other drum lines there, all having worked just as hard as we had through the year, putting a show together, having a concept, having a vision, and then making that vision happen at a performance. It was incredible. It was inspiring. I love it. I've been every year I go to see what everybody else is doing, and for the students, for that first time to see that and to see the schools, the two schools who beat us, Sardis and MEI, are phenomenal drum lines, really amazing groups. And so for us to see where we're headed was a very exciting event. And then for us to be so successful also was a pleasant surprise. Yeah.
And for the drumline, it's not as, I guess, mainstream as you would call it compared to like jazz band or choir, because not every school has a drumline, and it's definitely there's much less people doing the drumline. It's on the same route. It's more unique, I feel like, than some regular, things you might see at other schools, like jazz band, choir, some other things like strings or something.
Concert band, orchestra.
Yeah, exactly. And so, Mr. Smith, you mentioned how you did see a lot of other schools at the provincial competitions. And where was that actually? Where was that?
It was held out at Abbotsford Secondary School. It was Abbotsford Senior Secondary School.
And that was Provincials?
That was the provincial, the Canadian Drumline Association hosts a series of provincial championships across each province. And ours is, Abbotsford was chosen to host ours this year.
Okay, I see. So what do you expect from the drumline to achieve in the next few years in PMSS?
We have some big hopes in the next few years. Primarily, our goal is to embed ourselves in the community and school culture more heavily, making sure we're at more sporting events. We got to do the Special Olympics 3-on-3 basketball this year, which was really meaningful for us, but I'd love to do more sporting events. It was so early, we didn't have time to get prepared for that kind of thing, but next year we'll be prepared and look forward to supporting the school teams, school events such as Terry Fox Run, assemblies, that sort of thing. And of course, improve ourselves and improve our skills. And our next goal is to start other drumlines in the community. Hopefully other high schools will see what we're doing and want to do the same thing and create a culture out here of drumline. And I feel like drumline, it's very versatile, right? You can play drums outside, right? And that's obviously a big factor because you can go to, as you mentioned, sporting events, community events, and integrates drumline into the community. Absolutely.
Yeah. And obviously, having gotten third at Provincials, you guys set the bar very high already. Yeah. Okay. So, Mrs. Smith, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we hope that drumline in the next few years will achieve even greater success, especially with the new students coming, and hopefully more schools in SD43 will also see the drumline here and maybe start one of their own drumlines. I feel like that's something to look forward to in the community as well.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr.
All right.
Smith.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you next time.